Hi, I'm Delta. I review content that is either nostalgic or interesting to me on this channel. Thank you to the 5 people who subscribed to me without knowing what kind of content that I would post. Hopefully you're not too off-put by this video. You too can become a pillar of this community by subscribing below. Today I'm reviewing the first 2 episodes of W.I.T.C.H. The reason being is the pilot for which was never released to the public and only shown to a small focus group. However, there are clips of it floating around in the openings of W.I.T.C.H. both the European and US versions, and in the first 2 episodes. I'm coming into this with a lot of forgotten knowledge of the story and the book series, so it's almost as if I was watching it for the first time, except if someone spoiled like 70% of the plot for me. When I first found that episode, I heard an opening I'd never heard before this season. It made me question if I was even watching the right show. Apparently, there is an international version of the opening titled W.I.T.C.H theme song that is not as compelling for me as the US version. It has better scenes and graphics than the UK version, likely because it was made after the UK version, but seeing the alternate opening for the first time was actually really cool. W.I.T.C.H was an iconic show in my childhood. It was one of the few shows that portrayed a real representation of teenage girls that wasn't strictly superficial. So as we begin the first episode, we see that Caleb attempts to steal wine or oil for his people, but in the end, he ends up with none of it because he takes too much. I didn't notice the last time I watched this, but now I see Caleb's voice actor as Beast Boy from Teen Titans.
Looks like Plan B.
Haylin destroys her room and her grandmother refuses to tell her anything was strange about it, while trying to stop her from getting suspicious about the closet opening by itself.
Hey, Lynn, you're just a growing girl.
Will's mother packs Will extra cookies for her classmates, and it reminded me of when you would bring gum or snacks to school and everyone would ask you for it. Maybe other people's school experiences were different, but it definitely did make you popular for the day.
Gee, that'll make me popular.
Not that I'm well versed in the art of catching petty criminals, but why exactly did they send an army for only 2 people? What if there were more rebels that decided to raid the castle besides them as a distraction? Nonetheless, Caleb and the strange creature disappear unscathed. This was a confusing moment for me, but I can't tell if this guy wants to bully or flirt with her.
Hey, Wilma.
It's just Will.
Okay, Wilma.
I just found out that this scene is omitted from the Disney version. The fact that this doesn't scare anyone when it happens.
Yes, my prince.
Haylen's grandmother explains the story of the universe using her magic planetarium powers, and surprisingly, no one interrupts her. I'll be out of there. Who chose them if they already had their powers? I mean, I guess the heart chose them. Why is there so little reluctance about the responsibility of the powers? Overall, I enjoyed the episode, but it is quite fast-paced, like they just want to jump into a further point in the story right away in as little explanation as possible. But that makes sense because it's the first season, and sequels aren't guaranteed at that point.
I wonder where that boy is now.
Phobos asks for a report, and Snake Man just does the most to transform back into his human form.
You did this for what?
Why not?
Why?
Why not?
Why though?
Will, feeling excluded, walks alone as her new friends continue on without her. It's a particularly sad moment before she is suddenly kidnapped. One of those, I don't think my friends are really my friends moments. As the new girl, realistically, you don't just become instant best friends with a group of people that have known each other for years. You have to get to know them through experiencing catastrophic life and death situations with them, like the rest of us. I think this one aspect of the show does showcase its realness among other things. Do I relate to this?
I don't need friends. They disappoint me.
Will goes missing and her mother has zero involvement in the concern over her.
her! You're serious? You want to skip school on picture day?
Does Cornelia ever even have concerns for other people's well-being? Is a human life really worth less than your middle school picture day photo? A photo you'll look back on in despair and cringe at because you let a kid die so you could take it? Okay, I'm being dramatic, but wow.
We're taking the word of what? Some jewelry to save a person we hardly know?
Cornelia does it again, but I believe it is her way of saying she is too afraid and is showing her reluctance to accept her newfound responsibility as a guardian. It took a while to see how the evil man was informed about the heart of Kandrakar, because the movement of the branch vine thing behind him is so small that it makes it seem like he sensed its presence or something. Which wouldn't make sense because he was still questioning Will about where it was. Instead of using Cornelia's powers to grow vines to lift Caleb and Blanc, or even both Will and Irma flying down to get them, Irma decides to drown them. I also feel like Halen could have possibly lifted them with her air powers, but that might be a stretch. If their powers make them older, shouldn't they also make them more physically strong? Or it will want to punish them. Cornelia ignores his sacrifice to comment on her attraction to him.
Is he cute or what?
With as little effort as that took for the whole thing to be destroyed, you would think that multiple people could have been the distraction by fighting the Snake Eye with Caleb to ensure that he got out with them instead of Will deciding he should be saved after they got out of the castle. The animation and the graphics are certainly dated, and it's clear that the show wants to get through the introduction quickly, but it's a nice introduction into the powers and the premise of the show, so I'll say it withstood the amount of time passed since I've last watched the series. If you've watched this video, I hope you'll leave a comment about what you think of these 2 episodes. Also, let me know if you'd like to participate in live streams following the episodes discussed so we can talk about them together. Thanks for watching. As the new girl, realistically, you don't just become instant best friends with a group of people that have known each other for years.
Main thing is, the bad guy didn't get our new best friend.